For more than 3 millennia, the Trojan War has stood at the crossroads of legend and archaeology, a saga shaped not only by gods and heroes, but by the ambitions of kings and the fragile truths buried beneath ancient soil. Long before the rise of classical Greece, when the shores of the Aegean were dotted with bronze-clad kingdoms, a single moment of divine rivalry set the world on a path to war. At the wedding feast of Peleus and Thetis, the gods celebrated in splendid harmony, all except one. Eris, goddess of discord, cast a golden apple among them, inscribed with 3 simple words, "To the fairest." Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite claimed it. Unable to decide, the gods appointed an unlikely judge, Paris, Prince of Troy, a man raised in shepherds quiet away from the grandeur of his birth. Each goddess offered him a gift, power, wisdom, or love. Paris chose Aphrodite, and with that choice, the fate of nations shifted. Her prize for him was Helen of Sparta, said to be the most beautiful woman alive. When Paris carried Helen across the sea to Troy, outrage rippled through the Greek world. Her husband, King Menelaus, called upon the oaths sworn by every Greek ruler to defend Helen's marriage, no matter the cost. His brother, Agamemnon, saw opportunity, a chance to unite the fractured kingdoms of Greece under one banner and strike at Troy, a wealthy city guarding the routes to the east. Soon, a massive coalition gathered. Fleet after fleet, black sails stretching to the horizon, warriors forged by myth, Achilles, unmatched in battle, Ajax, towering and relentless, Odysseus, brilliant and cunning, and Nestor, the wise old king whose memories stretched back generations. But the war that followed did not begin with glory. Delays, disputes, and omens slowed the march. Sacrifices were demanded. Alliances shifted. Even before reaching Troy, the Greeks tasted the bitterness of their own ambitions. When they finally landed on the shores of the Troad, the war transformed into something larger than any mortal conflict. For 10 years, the plains of Troy became the anvil upon which legends were hammered into being. The Greeks built camps along the coast. Troy's walls, said to have been raised by the gods, loomed in the distance. Raids ravaged the countryside. Battles erupted beneath the scorching sun. Heroes rose and fell with each passing season. At the heart of Troy stood Hector, son of King Priam, a warrior who fought not for glory, but for duty, for his people, and for the fragile peace he hoped to preserve. Against him stood Achilles, whose skill in battle bordered on the divine, yet whose pride and fury would one day shape the course of the entire war. Their legend became the war's pulse. When Achilles, enraged by Agamemnon's insults, withdrew from battle, the Greek army nearly broke. Hector's spear struck down Patroclus, Achilles' closest companion, mistaken for the great warrior beneath borrowed armor. Grief gave birth to wrath. Achilles returned to battle with a fury that shook the earth, and in single combat beneath Troy's walls, he struck Hector down. The sound of that fall carried the weight of an entire city's sorrow. But even the greatest warrior could not escape fate. Achilles himself would die soon after, felled by an arrow said to be guided by Apollo. Still, Troy did not fall. Its walls repelled assault after assault. Years of siege battered both sides. Exhaustion, disease, and despair ate at the armies more than any sword. Until, finally, subtlety achieved what strength could not. Odysseus proposed a deception, the creation of a towering wooden horse, left as an offering to the gods. The Greeks burned their camps and sailed out of sight, leaving the horse standing alone on the shore. Inside its wooden belly, silent and armed, hid Greece's finest warriors. Against the warnings of Cassandra and Laocoon, the Trojans brought the mysterious gift into their city. That night, as celebrations echoed through Troy's streets, the hidden soldiers slipped out, opened the gates, and signaled the fleet to return. What followed was fire. Troy fell beneath a storm of flame and steel. Priam was slain at the altar. Aeneas fled into the night, carrying the old and the young on his back, a journey that later Roman poets would transform into the origin of a new empire. The Trojan War was over. But its story had only begun. Centuries later, archaeologists digging at Hizarlik in northwestern Turkey uncovered 9 separate layers of ancient settlements, each built upon the ruins of the last. Among them, one city, scarred by fire, destroyed in the late Bronze Age, stood out. A city that may well have been the Troy of legend. The Trojan War endures because it is more than a conflict. It is a mirror held up to human nature. Pride, love, betrayal, ambition, the forces that have shaped every civilization since. In its flames, we glimpse both the poetry of myth and the hard truths of history. And somewhere between those two worlds, the real Troy waits, buried beneath time, still whispering its story.